What is up, guys, and welcome back to another video. Today I'll have my conference championship predictions. This video is going to be a little short. It's not going to have as many transitions. It's not going to look as aesthetically pleasing. But please bear with me. This week was a long week, and I'm strapped for time. I'm barely going to get this out in the amount of time I need to. So bear with me. But if you clicked on this video, thank you. Please consider subscribing. I make college football content daily. So if you love college football, you'll love my channel. Let's see how my predictions did last week. Last week, overall, I went 9-6, which isn't great. And against the spread, I went 4-11, which is bad. But hey, rivalry week is one of the hardest weeks to predict in all of college football. On the season, I am now overall 94-36, which is good for 72% correct. And against the spread, I am 56 and 74. 56 and 74, which is good for 43% correct. So I wish I could have bumped those numbers up. I wish they could be higher, but hey, they could be worse. Okay. So let's start off with some of the worst games first, and then I'll get to the better games towards the end of the video. The Conference USA Championship, North Texas versus UTSA. UTSA is just on the brink of not being ranked. They're actually ranked in the AP poll, but not ranked in the college football playoff poll. And they are a very good team, as they hold a very good offense. But so does North Texas. North Texas is very loaded on offense too. North Texas being 7-5, UTSA being 10-2. The spread on this game is 8.5 in favor of UTSA. Which is a lot in my opinion, but I can see why. Both teams are very good. Both teams don't have the greatest defense. Both teams have pretty good offenses. I look for this to be a very high-scoring game, but a close game. But I like the Roadrunners. Give me UTSA 42-35. UTSA wins by 7. UTSA wins, but they do not cover. And the UTSA Roadrunners are your Conference USA champions. On to the MAC championship. Toledo versus Ohio. Both of these teams not ranked this, but don't overlook it. Ohio, very underrated team, and so is Toledo. Ohio has a very good offense, and Toledo with an underrated defense. That's a matchup I'm looking for, and I think this will be a very evenly matched game. Toledo is favored by 3, despite Toledo being 7-5, Ohio being 9-3. And again, a very close game, very evenly matched game in my opinion. But I am going to take Ohio 35-28. Ohio wins by 7. Ohio wins in an upset. Your MAC champions are the Ohio Bobcats. On to the Sun Belt Championship. Coastal Carolina versus Troy. Both of these teams only have 2 losses on the season. Troy went to their campus for a field trip a little while ago, and they played South Alabama a little while ago. I'm very familiar with Troy, being in Alabama. And Coastal's been a pretty good team for the past few years, and they're very good again this year. Both very good teams. Coastal has a really good offense. Troy has an even better defense, in my opinion. So maybe I'm a little biased, but I am going to take the Troy Trojans to win 38-24. Troy is favored by 8.5, but I think Troy covers that. Troy wins and covers 38-24. The Troy Trojans are your Sun Belt champions. On to the Mountain West Championship. Fresno State versus Boise State. 2 very good teams again. Fresno 8-4, Boise 9-3. Boise, it looks like, is always a powerhouse in these group of 5 games, and they're almost always in the Mountain West Championship. And here they are again this year. Boise State this year with a very good defense, but don't overlook Fresno. Fresno's got a really good offense. So another interesting matchup right there, as both these teams, very good. Boise State has slid through some games this season, a lot of close games. But I am going to take Boise. Boise is favored by 3. I think Boise State wins 38 38-31. Boise State wins by 7. And your Mountain West champions are the Boise State Broncos. And now for the Big Ten Championship. Number 2 Michigan versus the Purdue Boilermakers. Now, this is one to look out for. Purdue in the past has had a very good track record versus top-ranked teams. You remember a little bit ago they beat Ohio State when Ohio State was top-ranked or in the top 5. And then they've upset a lot of teams. A lot of people like to call them the Spoilermakers. And people are wondering if they can get it done this weekend. And Purdue's very good. They have a very good offense, very good defense. They're a balanced team. But Michigan is just better. Purdue 8-4. Michigan is undefeated with one of the best defenses in the country and proved to us last week that they have one of the best offenses in the country. To me, the best offensive line in the country. J.J. McCarthy is just proving me wrong. I picked Ohio State last week because I thought J.J. McCarthy was going to be the weak spot for Michigan. And I'll admit I was wrong, and J.J. McCarthy proved me wrong. He looked amazing last week. Donovan Edwards, I think it's too much for Purdue, although I do think Purdue keeps it close. Michigan, a big favorite, 16.5. I think Purdue covers that. Michigan wins 34-24. Michigan wins, but they do not cover. And your Big Ten champions are the Michigan Wolverines for the second year in a row. Now let's look at our ranked versus ranked matchups, of which we have 5, of course, because it's conference championship week. Let's take a look first at the AAC, the American Athletic Conference Championship. Number 22, UCF versus number 18, Tulane. These teams played a few weeks ago, and UCF won 38-31. And this one's very close. Tulane is favored by 4, but I can see where you could go either way. UCF is 9-3. Tulane is 10-2. UCF has a lot of experience, obviously being coached by Gus Malzahn, who's been all over the place. They're very, very evenly matched, in my opinion. UCF with a great offense and Tulane with a great defense. But I think Tulane is going to come angry. I think they're going to revenge the loss that they suffered a few weeks ago, and Tulane is going to win. Give me the Tulane 42-21. Tulane wins big by 21 points and a shocker. Tulane wins and they cover. And the AAC champions are the Tulane Green Wave. Next, the ACC championship. Number 9 Clemson versus number 23 North Carolina. North Carolina has not ended the season strong. At one point, they only had 1 loss and were looking at a potential long shot college football playoff, but that is washed away now as they suffered losses to Georgia Tech and NC State. Clemson not finishing the season strong either, losing to South Carolina for the first time in 9 years. But that doesn't take away from the fact both of these teams are very good. UNC, North Carolina, with one of the best offenses in the entire country, but one of the worst defenses, a very just heavy-sided on the offensive side of the ball team. Clemson, though, more evenly matched, good offense, really good defense, and I think Clemson is going to win. Dabo Swinney is just too experienced. Now, Mack Brown is experienced too, but I think that defense will be the downfall as Clemson will play angry. Give me Clemson to win 45-28. Clemson wins by 17. Clemson wins and they cover. Your ACC champions are the Clemson Tigers. Time for the SEC championship. Number 14 LSU versus number 1 Georgia. Georgia, the biggest favorites of the entire week, a 17.5 point favorite. And I can see why. Georgia's played incredible this year. The best team in the country by far. Best defense in the country. Top 5 offense. Led by the experienced Stetson Bennett. And so many talented players. Kenny McIntosh. Brock Bowers. Jalen Carter. Keely Ringo. So many great players. But don't overlook this LSU team. Trust me. I overlooked this LSU team as an Alabama fan and it cost me. LSU's very good too. Jaden Daniels, elite with the passing attack and elite with his legs. But don't overlook these LSU skill position players. Keishawn Butte, Emory Jones. And then on the defensive side of the ball, Harold Perkins, B.J. Ojolari off the edge. I think even though Georgia's so good up front, I think those players can pressure Stetson Bennett. And I think this will be Georgia's really close game. I think this will be the closest game of the season for Georgia. But I do have the Bulldogs winning the SEC. Give me 38-34. Georgia wins by 4. Georgia wins, but they do not cover. And your SEC champions are the Georgia Bulldogs, unfortunately. Now, the Big 12 championship. Number 10 Kansas State versus number 3 TCU. What a year TCU's having. Max Duggan playing incredible. Quentin Johnson, one of the best wide receivers in the country. They are having an incredible year under Sonny Dykes' first head coaching year at TCU. Kansas State, though, one of the most underrated teams. They suffered some losses early, but they have really bounced back and had some impressive wins, in my opinion. And don't overlook the Wildcats. They've responded to so much adversity too. Adrian Martinez going down, but Will Howard has played great in his shoes. He has filled those shoes well. And with Deuce Vaughn, Kansas State is very dangerous. So is TCU. They're both really good teams. They played earlier in the year, and TCU won by 10. But that was Kansas State's first game without Adrian Martinez, with Will Howard. I think Kansas State plays angry and proves that a lot of people are overlooking them. Kansas State wins, upsetting TCU's perfect season. Give me the Wildcats to win 38-35. Kansas State wins by 3. TCU will still go to the playoffs, though, in my opinion. But your Big 12 champions are the Kansas State Wildcats. And now for the game of the week. The Pac-12 Championship. Number 11 Utah versus number 4 USC. Of course, USC with the best offense in the entire country, in my opinion. Led by let's be real, unless he stinks it up tonight, probably the Heisman winner, Caleb Williams, and future number 1 overall pick. Plus Lincoln Riley head coaching with Jordan Addison catching the ball. This is a scary USC offense. But Utah, in my opinion, the more well-rounded team. USC's defense has been a weak spot this season. They have not impressed me at all. Very mediocre. But Utah, I feel like, is a more well-rounded team. Their offense, pretty good running game, pretty good passing game, led by the veteran Cam Rising at quarterback. And that defense is top 10, a great defense. So Utah more well-balanced. Obviously, USC's only loss this season came to Utah by 1 point on a 2-point conversion. And I think USC avenges that loss. Give me the Trojans, 42-31. USC wins by 11. USC's favored by 3. They win by 11. USC wins and they cover. Your Pac-12 champions are the USC Trojans. And that's my prediction for Conference Championship Weekend. Let me know what you think in the comments below. Sorry this video couldn't be as glamorous as it usually is. But let me know what you think in the comments below. What are your picks? And thank you for watching. Peace.